Wes, what was your biggest takeaway from watching what Jordan Mason was able to do the other night?
Jordan played like we expected him to play. Physical in the run game, but also vision. You know, he's not just barreling downhill. Had some really nice cuts where he found kind of a backdoor cut on a couple plays, and just followed his blockers on some others. But and then really showed up in the protection aspect too. You know, getting inside some A gap blitzers and kind of wadding some things up and giving JJ some time in the pocket. So that's what we expected from Jordan, and I know that's what he expects from himself. So I think it's just a start for him.
Did you guys know he was that capable in pass protection when you acquired him, or is that something you kind of found out this summer?
Yeah, I think we had seen some pass pro. You know, I'd kind of mentioned in the spring we hadn't seen a whole lot of him as a receiver and catching the football. And I know, you know, that didn't really show up this game. But just as far as we were impressed by just how complete a back he is, and really feel like with him and Aaron that we have guys that can run, that can step up and pass protect. I mean, Aaron had a snap on the 2-point conversion to Adam where he stepped up in the A gap and hit a linebacker running through the A gap, and you know, so we feel like we've got two complete backs that can do things: pass game, run game, protection, and they have their own styles that can kind of play off each other.
Was some of the counter run stuff in the second half new, or is that stuff that you guys have always done since you've been here?
We've done some of those counters. We were, you know, probably should have got to some of those a little bit earlier. You know, the challenge of playing a new coordinator at a new team with new personnel, and some of the things they were doing with their defensive ends and alignments and techniques were a little bit different, and you know, on me to try to get to some of those things a little bit faster, but that definitely gave us a spark.
Plus, with Aaron Jones as a more of a downfield option, how has that evolved over his year and a half here in terms of you guys seeing that he can do that and utilizing it a little more?
Yeah, I think Aaron's shown throughout his career that he can be productive in the pass game, but he you know, whatever the 40 time and all that stuff, he gets up on people quickly, and he can track the football as well. You know, we saw one down the right sideline last year that Sam threw him where he made a phenomenal catch for a running back, you say, but he can really track it down the field as well. So, you know, you add that threat and from the routes that he's running, where he's running those shorter to intermediate type routes, and then now they see the ability for him to go up and go past him. You know, we threw a go ball to him in London last year on third down, and he made a big play there. So just kind of finding ways to use a really good football player to our advantage is fun.
Coach, what were you most impressed by with Donovan Jackson's game, especially without having Christian next to him?
Yeah, Donovan, again, I mean, he's one of these guys. He stepped in and just kind of felt like he belonged pretty early, and I think he got his nerves or anxiousness about, you know, maybe playing in the NFL in that first preseason game. I think he got that out of his system and kind of clicked in. Hey, you know, I belong here. I can do this, and that's kind of what you saw in the game. You know, he probably had a little jitters like all of them do, but Coop said he came off after the first series and just had a big smile on his face. Like, regardless of our production, just his own personal feeling about, okay, you know, I'm good, and I think he saw that through his play.
What were you seeing those first two series, and then most of the first half, just in general, in terms of where the offense was and why things weren't clicking at that point?
Yeah, I think there were some details across the board, and I think Kevin mentioned, you know, taking turns a little bit with a guy here, a guy there, or and ultimately that's, you know, great offenses don't take turns. They have all 11, you know, executing and doing their jobs, and that's what we're trying to progress to be, and you saw it a little more in the second half where. it kind of came together a little bit and we settled in, but obviously we want to get off to a faster start.
What was your sense of how JJ handled that? Like, the average reporter or fan watching that saying, JJ's, he's the reason that this is not going well. There's some other things that were happening. And what was your sense of how he absorbed that and handle it when really, in those cases, wasn't anything he could have done about it?
Yeah, JJ's demeanor didn't change whatsoever. I think sometimes it gets overplayed, the look in his eye and all that type of thing, but his demeanor didn't change. I think he's got an ability to recognize what's kind of under his control and what's out of his control. And we did feel like whether we had a little protection issue or whether a guy wasn't quite where he's supposed to be, whatever it may be, around him, I think he can kind of separate those things and understand control what I can control. And that's why, we never really panicked throughout the game and even at halftime, because it felt like his eyes were in the right place. His feet were where they were supposed to be. And, we get a tipped ball, just some of the things that were happening. And we felt like we had a lot of good kind of bullets still on that call sheet for that second half. So we had some confidence that we could get some things going.
Wes, there's a few plays where it seemed like Ryan Kelly, Donovan, and Will picked apart their stunts and just did a good job stopping those. I guess what is the key for an interior when I guess a lot of teams now are running those stunts and twists all the time?
Yeah, those inside guys, I mean, it truly is like kind of the team within the team. And the protection is built to be a help system. If one guy sets too wide, you get the three bigs on one side. Well, if one guy just says, I'm going to just go set this guy on my own and get my hands on him, and he doesn't stay connected and hold off longer, all right, that's when you start getting penetration. Guys get picked off, and now a guy's wrapping around, and he's free to the quarterback, those types of things. So especially for, really a new group playing together in a real game for the first time, I thought, that kind of help protection feel showed up. And then obviously just kind of the mass inside with Fries and Donovan and Ryan kind of showed up where we had, space to step up in the pocket when we needed to.
Ryan, did anything stand out to you specifically about how he handled with the rookie quarterback behind him, with a rookie guard next to him? Just what kind of calming presence was he?
Yeah, communication was elite throughout the game, and I would say from him to JJ and also from JJ to the offensive line. So, kind of a tough one right out of the gate for a rookie quarterback on the road. You're using silent count. We're not dumbing down the game plan. We're trying to give them the best ops, to get in the right plays and those types of things. And I know procedurally it felt a little late and frantic a couple of times there. I think it improved throughout the game. But those times where he's stepping up there in the noise and talking to those guys, I mean, he's making protection fixes or calls that we need to be made to be able to have a chance to get some of these plays off. And I thought he handled that really, really well. So the communication between the two of those guys and Ryan kind of setting the starting point. This is kind of the lens he's seen it through, and now JJ he's in that same lens and has his tools if need be to fix some of those issues.
Wes, we all know that JJ can use his feet, but what do you like since he got here till now? What you like about when he gets the ball in his hands and he just runs it in? What improvement have you seen the most?
Yeah, I like when he scores touchdowns and makes the right read on a little zone pull play. But yeah, he's I think you're going to see that throughout the year. Not unlike Sam at times last year was able to use his legs and steal a first down, one or two a game. I mean, those things pay dividends over time and over a season. When you're talking about, usually a lot of the best third down and red zone teams you see is a lot of times the Jalen Hurtses and the Lamar Jacksons, the guys that when things don't go perfectly, they can use their legs and still keep the chains moving, and he's got some of that in him.
Wes, what comes to mind when you think about studying Penix before last year's draft?
His hands come to mind. It's just massive hands. Yeah, it was just noticeable. You shake the guy's hand, or when he's just talking to you, and these things are just flapping around. But we spent some time with him, as we did with all the quarterbacks, and had a great workout. Can really spin the football, accurate. I actually just seeing some of the game, not studying that side. He's athletically was very good, but in college didn't seem like he, took off and ran and took advantage of his legs at times. It seems like he's doing that a little bit more, and that makes him even more of a threat. So, but he was a great young man to sit down, spend time with, and smart, capable, talented, everything good.
Wes, what do you think of their pass rush compared to recent years? They only had the one sack, but it seemed like a lot more pressure.
Yeah, they've got a lot of guys that they're using and rotating and keeping fresh out on the field, and they have a little kind of a rush grouping where all the rushers are kind of all there with Onyemata in there as the one kind of big, and so. You see them, and then physically, their linebackers are a challenge when they're rushing as well. Both 0 and 55 there, Ellis and Diablo. So those guys are very physical as when they're activated in the pass rush as well. We really felt Ellis last year. Some of the times where our backs. Just based on the protection or the look they present you, and they have to block those guys. So they're relentless. They're coached well. Between Raheem and Ulbrich, both very good coaches. They're going to be sound. They're going to play very hard. They're going to tackle. They're going to hit, and they're going to go after the football. I know that's always an emphasis. Everyone says it's emphasis, but for Raheem especially, I know that's a huge emphasis.
That's helpful.
That's in the interception on pick 6. What was your sense of the timing on that play? It seemed like JJ had a pretty decent pocket, but what happened on that play between him and Justin?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into all the details of the play that you're probably asking me to get into, did not work out quite as planned for various reasons. But what was good is we did get into the protection that we wanted to be in versus a zero pressure. The guys kind of wadded it up pretty well there. There are times in some of those zeros where you might have to throw that thing off plant and get the football out. But, I put that just on myself, on us. Anytime, a guy's going to squat like that and make a play like that, we got to have something better for him.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.